was suggested that included in the halachas of the understanding of all of tefillah, one should include Tefilas HaDerech. The truth is that it is brought in Shulchan Aruch together with the halachas of tefillah. Today I'd like to talk about what makes Tefilas HaDerech really special. Technically, when we use the format of the Anshe Knesset Agdola, even in Tefillah, everything begins and ends in bracha. The Shmoneh Esrei begins with Baruch Atah, and every bracha ends with a bracha. The other brachas don't begin with Baruch because they are all what's called Smucha L'Chaverta. Each one is connected to the one before it. And at the very beginning of it, you have a Baruch Atah that covers them all. So really, Tefillah, in the form of the Anshe Knesset Agdola, should begin with Baruch and end with Baruch. When you look at Tefilas HaDerech, it begins with Yehi Ratzon, may it be Hashem's will, no Baruch, but it ends with the Baruch of Shomei HaTefillah. So there are some that say that before Tefilas HaDerech, you should make sure to eat something that calls for an after bracha of Al HaMechya, which ends with Baruch Atah Hashem, and then go right into Tefilas HaDerech. It's interesting, would Chazal actually set up that Tefilas HaDerech is to be said after Borei Nefashis and not even tell us? Rabbi Yonah says that Tefilas HaDerech doesn't begin with Baruch because it is really the format of the bracha of Shema Koleinu. We're transferring Shema Koleinu onto Tefilas HaDerech. Shema Koleinu is a bracha smucha l'chaverta. It is part of Shmoneh Esrei, which begins with Baruch, so it's already covered. When they composed Tefilas HaDerech, as it ends Shomei HaTefillah, like Shema Koleinu, they didn't begin it with a Baruch. Sounds like a very good technical explanation. And the question is there any significance to that? Plus, there are so many situations in life where one would really be required to call out to Hashem. When we started the halachas of tefillah, we started discussing the whole idea of tefillah. We found that there's a mitzvah d'oraisa of tefillah be'ez tzara. When you feel needy in any way whatsoever, you're required to call out to Hashem. Why is it that the tefillah, the prayer said when you're leaving town, traveling to another city, that is the one that they made a standardized text for? And in the form of a bracha, very much like the Shmoneh Esrei. Before beginning a medical procedure, there's a Yehi Ratzon to be said. That's not in the form of Shomei HaTefillah. There's no bracha at the end, certainly not at the beginning. Why is it only Tefilas HaDerech? The Kohen Gadol on Yom Kippur, just before leaving the Holy of Holies, the Kodesh HaKadoshim, it says he would be mispalel tefillah ktsara, a short prayer, not too long because everyone's waiting for it to see that he's coming out alive. A short prayer. Included in that prayer is he asks Hashem to ignore the request of the wayfarer. What he's referring to in particular is in the winter, which is the rainy season here, if someone's on the road, and remember in those days the roads were not something you traveled by car, it was either on foot or on a horse. In the pouring rain, and you know what it's like here in the winter. In a good year, we get these downpours. In a pouring rain, the wayfarer is going to say, Hashem, please stop the rain. The Kohen Gadol has to ask on Yom Kippur in the Kodesh HaKadoshim that Hashem ignores that prayer. It is taken to be the most sincere prayer possible. A person on the road feels vulnerable. The roads in those days were dangerous for many reasons. There was so many instances of getting hurt. There were wild animals, there were snakes and scorpions, and there were pirates everywhere. It was known to be dangerous. Anyone who was traveling, any intercity travel, would be considered something dangerous, and a person really felt vulnerable. If at that time he was also caught in a downpour, when he prayed to Hashem to stop it, he did that with all his heart. The only way to prevent his prayer from stopping the much needed rain was for the Kohen Gadol in the Kodesh HaKadoshim on Yom Kippur to ask Hashem to ignore it. Tefilas HaDerech was said by the Anshe Knesset Agdola with the understanding that a person embarking upon a journey that is going to be a dangerous one feels so vulnerable. If there's anything there to transfer Shomei Tefillah to, the Shomei Tefillah of Shmoneh Esrei, it's that situation. In this day and age, travel's different. The roads are relatively safe, although it's frightening at times. It's important that one appreciates that we're still vulnerable. The roads are still a place where things can happen, chas v'shalom. If you appreciate your vulnerability, then you can daven with all your heart. And that's what this bracha was made for. I understand travel for many today is exciting. It's an experience. But that's because statistically, most travel has a happy ending. But the truth is that we're relying on many miracles. Air travel, the whole concept is miraculous. Again, we should all be saved. It's good that we're so spoiled and we think there's nothing to it. Fun, exciting. You traveling in a car? No, for the roads to be safe, to feel the vulnerability and appreciate that perhaps the reason we don't see it is so dangerous because Hashem is always there for us. But really we have to pray for it. The second lesson is that a heartfelt prayer is so powerful. And that is that we do learn from the wayfarer's prayer for the end of the rain, that you needed the Kohen Gadol in the Holy of Holies and the Kodesh HaKadoshim to stop it. If you really mean it, there's nothing to stop your prayer. There's so much we need as individuals and certainly as a nation. We're about to daven mincha. If you feel the sechazena einenu b'shuvcha l'tzion barachim, that our eyes should see the return. If you can say that with the same kavana as this poor guy on foot or on his horse in the downpour, no one's going to stop it. We should be zocher.